Once you have all the buildings that you want on your cityscapes, the next thing that we're going to do is try to turn these buildings into something other than cubes and try to make them more precise. So one of the things that I'm going to do is figuring out if I'm going to have repeating windows that go over and over and over again. How do I do that? I know that if I have lines on a building that go back like this, I know they get closer together as they go back. But how am I going to make them the appropriate amount of closer together? So the first thing I'm going to do is make a point that's halfway down this line. So if this line is 1 3/4 inches, that's going to be, let's see, 3/4 plus 1/8 right there. So this is my halfway point. It's just important that it's right halfway down the middle so that I can make a line from there to my vanishing point. And then I'm going to go ahead and just pick a place. I'm going to make my lines this wide. My building's sections this far apart. Now, if I make a diagonal line that goes from this point to through this point, wherever it hits here is where my next line should be. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm starting from this point at the top, going through where that middle line that I put in touches right there, and making that, I need to make it better, and making that diagonal. And where that hits right here is where my next vertical line goes. As you can see, this is a little bit closer together than this. So I'm going to do that again. I'll start from here. I'm not going to start from this one, not the end one. Though I'm going to come in one. Make a line that goes across at a diagonal, and then I can bring that line up. I can repeat this. As you can see, my lines are getting closer and closer together. The ratio at which they are getting closer is the same, and it'll make logical sense as it goes back. Eventually, these lines would start to get so close together that I might as well just give up on them. So I'm just going to end my building there. So another thing that I can do is if I want to have a face that's facing me like this, I can... if I'm wanting to make like windows going across or something, I can take and make notches that are equal distances apart. I'm going to make these 1 centimeter. So I can go ahead and make these. These are technically going to the vanishing point that is that way. That they will array slightly up as it goes down, but they're going to be close to straight across. So those aren't exactly perfect, but they're close enough for this video. Take your time getting these equally spaced, because if they're not equally spaced, they'll mess your other lines up. Now, if I want to figure out how to evenly space lines going this way, I can make a line that goes diagonally across. And everywhere it meets, I'll have a point here, 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 and here. That is where I will have my straight up and down lines. And if I continue those over, I'll get a perfect grid there. This is going to work especially well. I'm going to make a new building, a new example. So I'm going to go ahead and make my horizon. I'm going to go ahead and make a building that has a large face on it. So if I have a building that looks like this, it's easier to see how this grid of windows going back is going to look. So I'm going to make these squares bigger so it's easier to see. So I'm going to do the bottom one is going to be smaller, and that's fine. I'm separating into 1-inch sections here and making those lines go back to my vanishing point. Again, it's important to make everything going to a vanishing point. I know some of you are going to have lines pointing off who knows where, and I'll remind you that it should go to the vanishing point. All right. So those are more or less equally distanced. Actually, yeah, that's fine enough. That's good enough. I'm only going to make my grid in this top section. So I can make a line that goes across diagonally, and everywhere that crosses, I can make a line. So as you can see, it's a grid that goes back. This goes really far back there. This section is much larger than this section, but this is what this building would look like if these were going back. And I can do the same thing this way. I don't actually have a vanishing point over here, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Didn't quite eyeball it right, but I can fix that with this line here coming up more. Let's see. Got to get this. There we go. That's going to be my new bottom of the building. I'm going to erase that so it doesn't confuse you. All right. So I can do the same thing on this side. I'm making a diagonal line go across here. into everywhere that it hits. Yeah, and that's going to make sense. All right. Now, if I wanted to divide this up any even more, because these squares seem more square, this seems more rectangle, I could do the same thing again by dividing this up. Dividing this section up. And then dividing this back section up as well. Oops, that line was a little dark. And you get this nice area going back. Now this bottom section, I could say that this is going to be my, sometimes buildings, the bottom floor looks a little different. It can be sunken in. If I want, I can be like, I'm going to have this kind of overhang here. So this bottom section, because it's a different size, I'm going to make it into like a different kind of area. And so you can see I cut this section away. This goes to the vanishing point there. This goes to the vanishing point over here. I can cut out another section here. I'm not going to see any of this side of this wall here. I will see this here, and that should go to my vanishing point. Again, if I erase this section here, I can make this building start to look like it's on stilts and doing something different. I want you to continue using your measuring to the vanishing points. I'm just doing this for the sake of expediency. That I kind of get this weird, different kind of looking building. I can add signs. I can add a new building coming out of the top of this. I really want you to play with your buildings and start to add design to them.